Now, this is not my style of play. I'm more of a game idea, but there has been something that has piqued my interest over the YouTube internet, and that's these what-if scenarios of Warhammer being introduced to characters in their universe. Like, for example, what if Darth Vader entered Warhammer? What if Luke Skywalker entered Warhammer? Iron Man, Superman, Goku, Saitama, aka One Punch Man, and so many others. And one interesting theory came across my feed, which was, what if the God of War, Kratos, entered Warhammer 40K? And I've got to say, that is nothing what current Kratos would do. And they did indeed use current Kratos. So here's my what if scenario of what would happen if the God of War, Kratos, entered Warhammer. So, I'm saying it like this. It starts off in Midgard. One wintry night, Kratos is doing his thing, fashioning up more arrows for his son Atreus, and still thinking about his past actions, not as a way of it haunting him still, but as a way of him trying to learn from his past, to never forget the actions that he chose that led to more despair. But then all of a sudden there's this cosmic shift, a great shake in Midgard. Kratos runs to his son Atreus, and as there's some sort of warp-like space hole entering their homeland, things start to get a little weird. So what Kratos does is that he catches Atreus, pushes him away from this warp-like doorway, I'll call it, or rift, and Atreus lands. Atreus lands safely towards their home, while Kratos, on the other hand, gets sucked into a warp or a wormhole-like warp, and he somehow finds his way on one of the planets in Warhammer. That's when one of the Space Marines get a notification on their scans. And so they decide to check it out. Now, the interesting Space Marines that come to check it out are the Salamanders. And Kratos finds himself alone and stranded in a new, strange world. He feels off, as I'll put it. And excuse me, I'm sorry. Long night. And he feels like he feels off because he feels like he's surrounded by chaos, corruption, and evil. So he begins to traverse and get a feel for the land, armed with his wife's Leviathan axe, the blades of chaos, the Dropnir spear, and the blade of Olympus. He continues to press on with, surprisingly, Mimir's head seeks Mimir for advice and guidance in order to figure out what to do next and also what realm they are in. But Mimir hasn't the foggiest idea as to where they are and or what to do but to head north. And so Kratos and Mimir decide to walk north. Unbeknownst to them, they run into the salamanders. They are very hostile, but they don't attack yet. They ask Kratos to identify himself and to state his intentions. Kratos identifies himself as Kratos. He says he is Kratos. I have no quarrel with you. I only seek a way home. And Mimir, who speaks, says, simply asks these guys where we are and who they are. And that, sorry, I got a little flu. Nose is stuffy. And that they're just lost travelers travelers who are warriors seeking a way home from all this chaos. The salamanders identify themselves as the salamanders who serve the god emperor of humanity. And before Kratos can speak, Mimir states that we are not familiar with your god emperor of humanity. We are merely from a different realm than you all are. We hope that under your... Basically, Mimir tries to sweet talk the salamanders before Kratos can start a beefy conversation that can get him into a fight. And so the salamanders use their scanners on Kratos in order to see if what he says is true or to see if he is a hostile person. Scanners don't understand or can't make what of what Kratos is. And so they assume that he is of chaos and are still kind of shocked by a talking head and think that Kratos might be a member of chaos or a witch. And Kratos is offended by these accusations and claims. And so he states that I am no witch. I am a god from a land far from here. While they claim heresy, and Kratos says, claim it all you want. But I am no god. While I am a god, I am no god of these lands. I simply seek a way home. Sensing the hostility from the salamanders, Mimir simply asks, perhaps my friend who happens to be a god from another land can aid you in exchange for a way home without violence. And as if right on cue, Chaos Marines appear to capture Kratos and learn his secrets. And so the salamanders state that if you truly are an ally, prove yourself by slaying the enemy. And so Kratos agrees slay their enemies, these Chaos Marines and Demon Prince. I should have taken some Dayquil. Oh well. And so both the Salamanders and Kratos charge into battle in order to slay the Chaos Marines and their Demon Prince. But before the Salamanders could even fire a round from their bolter pistols, Kratos has already made quick work of the Chaos Marines and Demon Prince. With his blades of chaos and his blade of Olympus, he slays them all almost within an instant. Yeah, I should have taken some Dayquil. And after an easy fought battle, Kratos looks to the Salamanders and says, "There. Now do I have your trust and aid to send me home?" And one of the Salamanders states that you have done something that no warrior has ever done, or so quickly and efficiently. And Mimir says, this here be the ghost of Sparta, the former god of war in Greek to the Greek gods. And they say they know not of any so-called Greek gods. They only know of the god emperor. And so Mimir states that we must predate them. I think, brother, and says to Kratos, I think, brother, we are in the future where the old gods, such as yourself, no longer exist and are forgotten, and the new gods have made way. Kratos shows no interest in these new gods and simply wished to return home to his son. And so the Salamanders asked Kratos to come with them with caution and with their guns trained and ready. They take him to the Inquisitor, and through a much long, detailed, intense interrogation and even a blood draw, which Kratos did not like, and scanning of Mimir's head and questioning, they come to the conclusion that he is not of this world and that he should be sent back. And so what they decide to do is request his aid. In exchange for a way home. So they take him from planet to planet, defeating each and every single Chaos Marine and Necron there is. They keep him away from the towers out of fear of their trickery of words and temptation, with their lies of greater good, as the Marines claim. However, Kratos has been tempted by gods, by the chaos gods, to do their bidding, but he has constantly refused. He knows of the many lies gods tell, the many treacheries and deceits they hold. However, one day he stumbles across the God Emperor himself when he is sent to planet Terra. after a long and detailed conversation, which I will actually get into this time, where Kratos meets the God Emperor of humanity. And what happens is Kratos sees a large golden pyramid-like throne and an undead corpse standing above it. But he senses something. He senses a life within this rotting flesh. And he asks the being, who is he? And he states that I am the Emperor of humanity, the one who sits upon this golden throne. And Mimir says, brother, who are you talking to? And so the God Emperor extends his psychic path to Mimir. And Kratos says he claims to be what these people call the God Emperor of humanity. And he says, I am no God, I am just a man. And already Kratos likes him, or respects him, for him to acknowledge that he is no God, and he is just a man. For he senses something admirable within the Emperor of humanity. So Kratos asks him, is this your will? All this chaos, all this death, all this suffering that I have seen, all this pain. The God Emperor says, no, this is not my will. This is my greatest failure. And now I sit upon this golden throne in constant pain and torment, trying to fix what I have failed, what is broken, trying to make what I envision, trying to repair or trying to succeed where I have failed. And Kratos asks him, how did you fail? And he states that he failed by not listening to all the warnings. He failed by not encouraging, by failing his sons. Instead of testing them to see who would succeed me, instead of loving them or caring about them and protecting them and guiding them, I tried to test them to see who would succeed me, which became my own downfall. The wound across my chest is the result of what you see from my own son, who fell into the hands of chaos. And thus, with a heavy heart, I had to slay him with my own blade and will. humanity, and he wishes to exterminate the Chaos Gods and all those who threaten humanity. Kratos strikes a deal with him. I will slay your Chaos Gods for you in exchange for a way home. I will slay the God Emperor, and the God Emperor asked him, what of the Necrons and Xenos that plague my people, and orcs along with the Tau? I see, and Kratos says, I have heard that the Tau speak of greater good, and yet your people battle with them with such hatred and prejudice. The God Emperor says, very well then, protect my people from orcs, Xenos, with their hive mind, and Necrons and Chaos, and my people will find a way to send you home. Kratos agrees to this, and thus he sets off to destroy Chaos temples and their followers. Weeks passed. So far, he has destroyed Necrons, ships, and their data centers, along with recapturing ships that were once held by Chaos, formerly by the Imperium, now purified and reclaimed as their own. Kratos then, on one of his Chaos termination pillaging, finds a temple that leads towards a warp to the Chaos realm. With the help of the Salamanders and the Black Templars, or the Marines that deal in chaos, Kratos decides to enter this warp, for he senses that there is a great chaotic evil within. In doing so, however, sends him into the chaos world, where lies and temptation echo. He enters the chaos realm of Khorne, armed with his primordial weapons, the blades of chaos. He goes on his killing spree, killing each and every single enemy that stands before him, until he reaches Khorne, the blood god. Khorne tries to strike a deal with him. However, this deal does not end well for Khorne. He tries to offer a way home. If he serves him, he will give him great power. And yet, Kratos sees the lies in Khorne's words and rejects it. I need no power from you, blood god. I need just a way home. And if you will not give me that now then I will take your head. And thus began the battle. That was long and bloody, but Kratos came out victorious. And yet, he felt that Korn was not dead. And so he waited for his revival. And as if on cue, he revives. And thus, again and again, he slays Korn over and over. The Marines watch in horror and awe as Kratos slays the blood god. That one of them decides to document this battle and broadcast it for all to see. And in doing so, the followers of Korn start to have doubts, lose their faith in their blood god, if after each and every single battle ends in his defeat, and Kratos shows no sign of letting up. And after the 10th defeat that Korn has faced, Kratos says, "Is this your god? Is this the one you call a blood god? A god of violence? A god of war? He is no god. He is just a demon pretending to be one." As he fell yet again to my might, to my strength. And as Korn finally rises up again out of the ashes, Kratos summons the blade of Olympus to strike the Korn down once and for all, and thus the chaos god of blood is no more. His followers disband, and give up their beliefs in the blood god, and fall into a despair-like state where Korn truly does feel defeat and is dead. For without the worship of his followers, or the belief that he is the strongest there is, or to acknowledge his existence as a god, then he is truly dead. Up next is Slanesh. Then, after Korn's defeat, Kratos then asks, "Is this the best your chaos demons can do, or gods? Is this all of them?" And the Marine says, "No, this is not all of them. There are more." There is, and he says, there is Slanesh, one of temptations, and offers pleasures that corrupt the mind and soul. And there's the one of disease and decay. His name I can't remember. He took a goddess of healing as his bride. Hearing that statement reminded him of That's the name it was, Nurgle. And so after much battling through disease, decay, and corrupted ultramarines or space marines, heretics and demons that do nothing but spread the disease and decay, Kratos finally reaches Nurgle's cauldron, where he lays the smackdown of a lifetime against him. He then asks that healing goddess, or the goddess of healing, I can free you if you do me one favor. And he simply asks to heal the God Emperor of humanity. And so she agrees, reluctantly agrees to heal. While the Marines have heresy on their minds, Kratos has an idea on their minds. Mere as what would Kratos propose such a deal as that? And Kratos states that if their emperor is back on his feet, then he will tell them the truth and lead his people to greatness. Because an emperor who cannot speak to his people, or even a god, is a useless god and a useless emperor. And so Kratos battles this chaos god of disease, Nurgle, and decay. It's a hard battle where Kratos can feel old wounds reopening. His vision is getting blurry, and disease affecting all that remains of him. But he powers through his Spartan rage and Leviathan axe. He freezes all of the diseases that have pooled around him. Once again, Marines are shocked and in awe, where even the Primarch and himself has been found speechless by Kratos' brutality and feats of war. It was almost like watching poetry in their eyes as Kratos slew another chaos god before their very eyes. And Kratos says to the Space Marines, "This is the power of your God Emperor who has sent me here." But he tries his best to hide his reluctancy to say it. This was all thanks to Mimir, who is guiding and coaching Kratos to stay on their good side and stay in favor of their God Emperor. For it seems like if they stay in favor of the Emperor of humanity, the higher the chance of them going home. And so with another chaos god slain and defeated, the the other gods start to take notice and start to plan. And while they plan and try to form a way to get rid of this god killer, as they have called him, Kratos is sent to aid the salamanders against the Necrons. And while he does have a hard time with them due to their advanced technology, he does make way. He does make a way of victory against them with his Draupnir spear and his blade of Olympus. He overloads their circuits. He then is approached by an inquisitor who seeks to understand how his weapons work. And how to get him home. And after careful study and research and analyzing him, they send him home, kind of. But it's the wrong place. He is back in Greece. And back at the same spot where all the broken weapons were laid. From his battle with Zeus. And so Kratos sees the hooks of Hades and asked them, can you restore these? Because these will come in handy along with the Nemesis whip, or it was the gauntlets that Heracles wore, and and also the Nemesis and those weapons that Hephaestus made for Kratos. And they said it will take some time under careful research. But then Mimir says, but brother, didn't you say the magic died with the gods? And Kratos said, yes, it did indeed. But perhaps in this new realm, we can substitute it. And so the engineers and inquisitions got to work on studying and repairing the old weapons. In doing so, they succeeded in repairing the hooks of Hades, and I think they were called the Nemesis whip, the one that Hephaestus had made. And last but not least, I forget those weapons that were wielded by Heracles. And thus he uses these weapons in his battle against Chaos and the Necrons. The hooks of Hades were great use for pulling out the souls of Necrons and destroying them with ease. I'm sorry, I skipped the part. Kratos said, this is not my home. My home is where Midgard lies in Norse mythology. And they said they used your biometric readings to send you home. And so they asked if they could use this axe or Mimir as a way of sending him home. And so, with the after getting back on track and returning to the warp of the Chaos Realm with Grey Knights, he enters the Chaos Realm of Slaanesh. And while Kratos is tempted by all things, he passes by and fights and powers through it, recognizing the similar tricks and desires that gods would often make false promises to him, until he finally reached Slaanesh with half the Grey Knights. Kratos charges and leads these men against Slaanesh. And as Slaanesh transforms into Fae, Kratos stops midway, but then is angered and unleashes the Spartan rage upon him, because he knows that Fae is dead. Slaanesh begins transforming into one image after another, trying to coax Kratos into becoming his champion and submitting, corrupting him, but to no avail. And Kratos says to Slaanesh, "Your lies and deceitful ways have no effect on me." And soon, even the Grey Knights start to follow in Kratos' footsteps and begin to aid him in the assault against Slaanesh. And thus another Chaos God falls to the hands of Kratos as he removes his head, Slaanesh's head, from his neck or shoulders. And as the demons approach, and as Slaanesh's domain starts to crumble, Kratos tossed his head at the demons' feet as they begin to realize this is no ordinary man or god. What we are dealing with is a monster beyond our wildest dreams and beyond our control. And thus began the stories about how the God Emperor sent upon them a champion that would slay all gods in his name. All chaos gods in his name, until none were left. And right after he had came back from slaying a horde of orcs and Necrons, Kratos learns that the way home is ready. And Mimir says, "Are you sure this time?" And they said with careful preparations and analyzation, they have successfully return him home. And thus they activate the portal that sends him back home. And I think that is how it would end. Kratos working with the God Emperor of humanity, not as a servant, but as an aid in order to get home. And filled with hatred of gods, thus willing to kill chaos gods. But that's how I have to say. Thank you and good night.